guys, guess what we got in our shop today? We got a new rebuilder. This is our 1998 Toyota Tacoma, and it is a nice truck. It's gonna be an awesome project. We're gonna start working on it. So basically, we actually already made a video on this truck, and the feedback we got from that video is basically why we brought it here to rebuild. Seemed like you guys like this truck, so we're back on it, and we're gonna completely restore it back to 100%. So basically, let's go over all the key points of damage and see what it all needs. All right, guys, so first things first, this back end is obviously the main point of damage and where we're most likely going to be spending most of the repair on. I don't know if you can tell, but it got hit from the back really hard. It actually ended up bending the whole diff, and you can tell it's bent because this tire is definitely not straight. As well as bending the diff, it most likely bent the frame too. This bedside is wrecked, ended up jamming into the back of the cab here. Big dent there. So another point of damage is actually the transmission, because right now it is stuck in gear and it's not rolling. So that's actually why we put this block of wood in here, is jamming the clutch in so we can actually move this thing and roll it around in neutral. That's why the transmission is gonna be the main thing we're gonna do first, because we need this thing rolling and it is really annoying with it stuck in gear. So we're gonna see if we can figure out what's wrong with the transmission first. If you've seen our other video, we've also ran this truck already. Like, it actually started it up, it ran really rough. We're gonna probably have to do a tune-up because it's not running that great, but it did run, so that's good. But we're gonna have to do some good maintenance on it, clean it up. So for the rest of the truck, it's kind of got its normal age wear. It's got some pretty bad paint wearing here. Paint's starting to fade away. So in the end, we're gonna repaint the whole truck, which is gonna look really nice. Yeah, as well as paint fading, it's got some dents here. There's a pretty big dent here. That's kind of what you expect for this truck. It's 24 years old. All right, guys, first things first, we're gonna try to figure out this transmission because it's not going into gear, and we need it to go into gear in order to get it in and out of the shop. My dad did a bit of research, figured out some possible reasons why it's actually not going into gear.
Yeah, I found out that there's a bushing inside the shifter down at the bottom there. It's very common that that's worn out apparently. If we take a look at that first, it might not be accident related. It might have been a problem that it had all along.
Okay.
So we have to take the boot off and take a look underneath there.
Yeah, so it might just have been wear over time.
And from what I looked up, it sounds like it's a very common problem with these trucks.
Huh. Also, it's got a separate shifter for going into, like, for transfer case low and high. Figured out there's actually a neutral spot just on the transfer case. So we could have just put in neutral instead of jamming the clutch in with that piece of wood, but both ways work. So now we know an easier way to put in a neutral if we need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're just learning.
Yeah. All right, so let's investigate this transmission.
There's a ring at the bottom there.
Yeah, right there.
Turn it 90 degrees while pushing it down.
Oh, this?
Yeah.
Oh,
There's a
yeah.
spring in behind her.
Yeah, I feel it.
Yeah. So if you push it down and then turn it 90 degrees counterclockwise, I would think.
There we go.
Now I should be able to pull that shifter straight up
Ah.
and out.
Here we go. So guys, we actually put it all back together. We put the seal back in and the cap on because we looked at the seal and ours was actually fine. Like, there's no problems with it. So we put it back together. So it's obviously not the bushing. So it might have to be something to do with the accident actually, because the rear axle really got pushed in, pushing the drive shaft into the transmission. So it might have damaged the transmission. And we still don't know what gear it's in though, because it's obviously jammed in something. The only way we can figure out what gear it is in is by starting it up and seeing if we can actually like get it to go into a gear, and then at least we know that it's stuck in a gear. So we're gonna start it up and see if we can get it to go. See if she'll fire up. Oh wow. So that was interesting.
Stuck in reverse.
So it won't go in any other gears, so.
No, only in reverse. So there's something I think stuck in the transmission itself.
Yeah, we'll have to take a look underneath, maybe investigate a little more.
Yeah, take a look underneath, and worst case scenario, we might have to pull the transmission out.
Yeah, so that'll be fun. Okay, so I'm under the truck here. First off, this is the drive shaft, and that is the transmission. All the way back here, the drive shaft connecting to the rear axle. Right here, you can see that it definitely got pushed in. There's a big, like, 1-inch spot where it kind of got squashed in, compressed in the drive shaft. And this tire here is the one that got pushed in and damaged. and it obviously shifted the whole rear drive axle, and it pushed the whole drive shaft all the way to the front. And this hanger too is actually bent. You can see how much bent it is. So that's obviously got pushed in, which isn't a good sign because that means it definitely pushed in on the transfer case and transmission. So there might be something wrong internally that's allowing it not to shift. So here's the actual transmission, and here's the front drive shaft that goes to the front. Oh, this is really hard to film. So that's the rear drive shaft. Here's the front drive shaft. Even the front drive shaft actually got pushed in here. Got like an inch of spot that definitely got shoved in. But while we're here, you can take a look at this frame. It's actually really nice. Like there's only some minor surface rust on it, but oh wow, there's actually a bit of a kink here. I might have just found out where the frame actually got bent. Other than that, like there's no rust on this thing. Wow, this looks amazing. The cab is like factory condition. It looks really nice. Ooh, the bottom of the door, it's like no rust on it at all. I guess I'm gonna roll under. Get back to you guys. All right, guys. So basically, since we suspect that the transfer case and the transmission was a problem, we're gonna start by taking out the drive shaft so we can actually take the transfer case off and take a look at that and investigate further. So let's get to it.
Don't tell me what to do. I'm not listening to you. Don't tell me what to say. It don't matter anyway. We're all the same. And love is blind. No one to blame.
All right, guys. We finally got the transfer case out from under the truck.
But listen to the sound here. Is that normal? Can you imagine that driving at highway speed?
Yeah, that sounds really rough. So guys, we got the transfer case out and we definitely got some issues with it. And actually, before we go any further with taking apart this truck and figuring out the problems, we're actually going to quickly give this a clean with our pressure washer. And we're actually going to clean it inside our shop because it's minus like 15 outside and it's really cold. And this shop actually has in-floor drains and water hookups, which is really cool. This is actually the first car we've ever washed inside of our shop because we built this shop just a few years ago. So let's get washing this truck.
Don't you see that I need you so much? Don't you see that I love you so much? Oh na 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 na, oh na 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 na, darling, I need your love. Oh na 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 na, oh na 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 na, darling, I need your love.
Alrighty guys, we got this thing cleaned up and it is looking super shiny. It actually looks really nice. There's going to be a lot more things that are going to need to be done on this truck, including figuring out that transmission. Either going to be redoing the inner gears inside it, or we're going to have to find a new transmission because I don't know, there's definitely some issues with it. Hopefully at the same time, after we're done the transmission, we're going to also tune up the engine, and then by then hopefully we'll be running and driving, and that will be really cool. Stay tuned for the next video on this truck. If you guys haven't already seen the first video, go click that video, go check it out. That's the first time we've ever worked on the truck. Yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. See ya.